All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Wednesday, February 19th, 2014 council meeting, starting at approximately 6:02. Tonight, the invocation is by Pastor Reginald Joseph. Is he in the audience? Pastor Joseph is with Haitian Evangelical Baptist Church of Homestead. We'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilwoman Faircloth and the Police Explorers. Could everyone please rise?
Let's bow our head as we pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless your name for who you are, what you have done in our lives. We thank you for the blessing of life and abundant life. We thank you for the city of Homestead, and we pray for this agenda tonight as everything that is said before the council and the people of Homestead, that you'll apply heavenly wisdom in everything that will be discussed tonight. So your name will be glorified and everyone will benefit from the many discussions and decisions that will be taking in place tonight. We thank you for everything that has been done already in the city, and we thank you for all the progress that has been done making already, and we thank you for everything ahead that's coming. And we ask all this not because we are worthy, but we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. You may be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Wallman? Here. Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Councilman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. At this time, we'll open up the floor for public comments. Step to the microphone. Give us your name and address for the record, please.
Mayor and my esteemed colleagues, let me present a project that we're trying to do in the southwest area and throughout the city of Homestead. So I invited Mr. Scott here from Pulse America to come and give us a brief for the public and for us about CPR. We're trying to do free classes for the community to get persons certified. And so he's coming with his company to help us do that. So I present to you Mr. Scott.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Scott Weissman. My address is 2511 Montclair Circle, Weston, Florida, 33327. Our company, Pulse America, goes to businesses and provides health, safety, and OSHA compliance training and product supplies to local businesses in Florida. We also go to churches and schools and such. Councilman Williams' office and the Southwest Advisory Committee reached out to us about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago and said that they wanted to go ahead and present a CPR class for the public. I thought that was a terrific idea, and I jumped at the opportunity. We are going to provide the CPR certification class for free, and we're going to have, it'll be available for the first 40 or 50 people that show up. It'll take about 4 hours. It will be at the Fikal Community Center on March 22nd, and it will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We like to go ahead and do a lot of hands-on training, so be prepared. I don't know how the room is set up temperature-wise, but you will do some sweating in the class, so be prepared to go ahead and have a workout in there. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, audience. My name is Nelly Estrada, 10 East Mallory Drive, Homestead, Florida. This evening, I wear Chefs on the Run's hat and wish to take this opportunity to thank all of those that sponsored us and made it possible for Chefs on the Run to be part of the South Beach Food and Wine Festival and represent the city of Homestead. We shall shine and will make the city of Homestead shine along with us. The city of Homestead has a lot to offer, and we will make sure that our guests at South Beach Food and Wine Festival are aware of this. Thank you very much. Good night.
Hello again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, community. I'm Barbara from This Is the Dog.
Just move the top of it up. There you go.
Thank you. I'm going to start tonight. It's short and sweet, but I wanted to mention about something that we did today with Ms. Burgess and I. A lot of you think that dog rescue is just a bunch of crazy dog ladies or people, you know, managing, you know, going out and rescuing dogs. Well, we're trying to do so much more than that, and today was proven. I'm going to give you some pictures here. Pictures are just some printouts from the class today at Air Base Elementary, or actually K through 8 that we visited. We have a club called BARK, and we're trying to teach them responsibility in addition to what we do with the dog rescue. So it was a very good day. We talked about senior dog care, and it was quite a special day. So responsibility and being good citizens are also something that we try to convey to the youth of our community. And you can see the pictures aren't the best quality, but I did it really quickly before I got here tonight, so I hope you can enjoy them. Second thing tonight I want to mention is about the free mobile animal clinic that we have had here in Homestead for January and February. Has been full. March 8th is the next one. It is full. And from what I hear, April and May are also full. So that is 28 to 30 dogs spay and neutered in our community. That means less strays on our streets, less money spent in our county doing that for them and going from intake to disposal. So thank you so much for helping us to bring that here, and it's going to be for the rest of the year. If anyone has a dog that they need spay or neutered, they can email This Is the Dog, and we'll put you in the right place to get that done. We'll connect you. Okay, so next thing and last thing is about our fundraiser golf tournament. I have some flyers. I'll put them at the door. We're going to be having a golf tournament on May the 3rd to help raise funds for This Is the Dog and helping the community with their dogs. If the mayor and council or City of Homestead, we still have 4 spots left for sponsors if you guys want to maybe take that opportunity to help us out. We would appreciate that. If anybody else is interested, you can pick up a flyer on the way out. And come and join us for lunch. It's $20 at a Keysgate Golf and Country Club. It's going to be a really grand event for us. and we're happy to have that and be able to raise some funds. So thanks again for the MAC and getting it here. That is quite a goal that we've wanted to set, and it's happening. So we appreciate that.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, what are the sponsorship?
Hold on one second.
I'm sorry.
Good.
I just wanted to know what the sponsorship levels were.
What is a sponsorship for? A team? Is that?
Yes, there's different levels. It's not on that. That's just sort of a flyer to let you know the date. There's different levels of sponsorship ranging from, I don't know directly the names, but getting your name put on a particular whole package.
A dollar amount.
It goes from 100 to 5,000.
Thank
I
you.
just happen to know because my
Thank you,
wife's running
John.
it.
Yeah. Ms. Burgess is the chair on that fundraiser, so.
If you'd like information, you go to golf@thisisthedog.com. Once again, golf, Golf, @thisisthedog.com.
Any golfers in the audience tonight?
I was just, Mayor.
Come on out and putt for paws.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, I'm gonna have to do one of these kind of things because I was just gonna say if some of our colleagues want to do it, maybe we could go in together and do a large sponsorship, and that would, I think, be
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Walden. Thank you.
good. So count me in. Ms. Faircloth, anybody else, and we'll discuss the dollar amount. But I think we're pretty much there for you.
Great. Awesome. Awesome, as we say. All right. Everyone have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Terry Weinstein, 10271 Southwest 137th Place, Miami, Florida. I am the event chair for the 2014 Relay for Life of Homestead, and I'm here to give you an update. I will be here next month as well, so get used to seeing me. We have, as of today, we have 22 teams signed up. I think when I spoke last month, we only had about 12. We have a goal of about 40 teams, and we are expecting within the next month or so to possibly reach that goal or, exceed it. We have a raffle that we are currently accepting donations for. We have a lot of exciting items that we're raffling off. We have VIP NASCAR race tickets, which I just picked up today from the Speedway. We have entry tickets to Coral Castle, the Seaquarium, Miami Children's Museum. We have a lot of dining certificates. We even have an original piece of artwork that was donated by your Artist of the Month, Roxana Gottschalk Garcia. She and I have been friends since our daughters were in kindergarten, and they're now both in their second year of college. So I reached out to her when I saw her here, and she's donating a piece of artwork, and she has sold artwork all throughout Europe. So I'm really not sure what the value of that piece of artwork is, but she said it exceeds $500. So the raffle tickets are 1 for $5, 5 for $20. We've gotten a lot of sponsorships from local businesses. Right now, I'm in talks with Largo Honda, Miami-Dade College, and FPL at Turkey Point. So we're working on some sponsorships with them. Next meeting is March 12th, and we're going to have our team meeting at Chili's right by City Hall. And we're going to do that in conjunction with a give back night. Chili's will donate 10% back to the Relay for Life. As long as a customer presents a coupon or a voucher, they'll give 10% of what that table spends that night. So flyers are not available tonight because Chili's computer system has been down for about 3 days. I told them I knew a good IT guy, but they couldn't use them. They had to go through corporate. But anyway, so hopefully within the next few days we'll have those flyers, and we'll share it on Facebook, on the Relay website, and through an email blast. Right now we have a T-shirt design contest that's underway. The deadline is February 28th. I sent emails out to all the schools in Homestead and Florida City, so I'm hoping to get back submissions. I want to thank Councilwoman Waldman. She had a friend reach out to me, and he works with the publicist for one of the American Idol finalists, Tim Halperin. And Tim Halperin is traveling around the United States. He's going to be singing at the different relay events, and he asked me if we'd like to have him here in the City of Homestead relay, and I said absolutely. So thank you for that. And I'd just like to thank City of Homestead for their sponsorships, donations, PIO for, you know, always sharing our information on the Facebook page, Councilman Maldonado for sending out the email blasts, reminders, and having a dedicated page in his newsletter for the relay. Thank you to Homestead Hospital. They will be hosting the relay once again. And that's it. And all of the information is on the table by the side door. Relay is May 10th, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
Terry,
Terry, Ms. Waldman?
if I can pull it off, next council meeting, I think Tim might be here with Relay to plug Relay, and if I can pull it off, sing a song. So he was in American Idols and went pretty far, and all those years of watching American Idol, I guess it finally paid off to do something nice for the community. So I'll be in contact with you, and I think we can make it happen.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Feel better.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Dan Carter, 1702 Northwest 5th Avenue in Homestead. And I'm here tonight on behalf of Kiwanis to try to do as much as I can to help publicize and promote an event that we have coming up. You may have seen these posters around town or some cards or whatever. We are sponsoring a concert, and the people that are coming to sing are from Yale University. They are the Whiffenpoofs. That's what they're known. This is the oldest a cappella group in the country. They date back to 1909, and one of their most famous members is Cole Porter. So every year they have a new group of seniors that delay their studies for their senior year and do nothing but travel the world. They start off with a tour of the United States, and then when they're finished with that, they go on tour throughout the world. They go to all the continents, Europe, Asia, South America, Africa, Russia, and Australia as well. So it's a great group. One of our local students, Nicholas Moss, son of John Moss, is part of that group, and we're fortunate enough to be able to have them be here as they have a stayover and some other concerts in this area. I would just like to, if I could just have these passed. These are little postcard reminders. The date of the concert is Sunday, March 9th at 2 o'clock. Admission is $20 per person. And all we're asking is the help of everybody here, including the mayor and council, to help get the word out so we can fill the auditorium up. And the proceeds from this event are going to be 100% designated for scholarships to local students. Last year, Kiwanis gave out 16 scholarships of $1,000 each to local students from schools from Southgate all the way up to Mast Academy at Key Biscayne. We had a local student that attended there and commuted every day. And so, it was very worthwhile, and our scholarships are basically awarded on the basis of academics plus community service. So we're looking for the students that receive these to be committed to helping their communities. And so we just, again, would like to ask everyone to help support this. We have some great sponsors. Miami-Dade College and Miami-Dade Public Schools are sponsors, along with Mercedes of Cutler Bay, Homestead Hospital, Community Bank, First National Bank of Homestead, and we also have support from Commissioner Bell's office. So we've been out there trying to get as much support as we can, and once again would like to ask you to not only tell everybody, but we'd like to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're the mayor. If I can just, Dan, it was great speaking with you, And I thank you for coming here this evening and the great work that you and the Kiwanis are doing to help our students move off to college, as well as the local things you're doing in our elementary schools with the Bringing Up Your Grades Awards as far as the honor roll. So keep up the great work, and the City of Homestead is very privileged to have you and the Kiwanis as proud partners in this community.
Yeah, we're in several of the elementary schools around town. I think it's about 8 or 9 of the elementary schools that we do that Bringing Up Grade program in the elementary schools. Plus the Key Club, we support the Key Clubs in the high schools, and there's several of those 6 or 7 of those that we support, so we do. Supporting young people and children is basically what our general mission is. We do a few other things, but that's our primary mission, to help the youth of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager. My name is Yvonne Knowles. I'm the Director of Homestead Main Street. I'm here to promote our next event, which is coming up March 1st, which is Mardi Gras on Chrome Avenue. Chrome Avenue goes Cajun. We're going to have a wonderful event starting at 6 o'clock on May 1st, which is a Saturday. We invite everybody to come down. It's a family-friendly Mardi Gras. We're going to have a parade starting at 7 o'clock. We're up to about 20 entries in our parade, so we're really excited about it. It's a short parade. It only goes from Maori to 4th Street, but we throw more beads per 4 blocks than anybody in the United States. So we've got the beads already all sorted out for our floats to throw, so you don't even have to bring your own beads. We'll supply you with beads. We also have a wonderful performance on the Lawson stage of Iko Iko coming to us, courtesy of Tobacco Road. We're going to have a crawfish boil put on by Bill Spillers and the LSU Alumni Association of South Florida. We'll be doing the gumbo and the jambalaya. All sales of the Cajun food will go towards a scholarship program for the LSU South Florida chapter students program. And the event will be going on until 10 o'clock on Saturday night. We hope you'll all come on down, have a lovely time, enjoy the parade, stick around for some great Cajun food, and enjoy an event put on by Homestead Main Street and a wonderful group of volunteers, and our thank you to our sponsors. So check out our poster around Homestead. If you have any questions, please check us out on Homestead Main Street's Facebook page or contact me through homesteadmainstreet.org. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yvonne, is the committee still interested in parade participants? Because the last meeting I joined,
yes, ma'am.
You were interested
We
in parade.
certainly are. We're still taking applications. In fact, we're going to be at Homestead has something going on every weekend. It's one of the most amazing towns I've ever been in. But it's extraordinary. This coming weekend, be sure and check out the Chamber of Commerce Chili Cook-Off. It's going to be a great event. It's at Harris Field, and the Main Street tent will be there doing our version of a Cajun chili. So we're not sure how that's going to work, but that's our entry. But come on, and at that table you'll be able to pick up some more parade application forms if you're interested in being on the parade, or go on the website and download it from our Facebook page. So, or call me and I'll send you a application form. But we are still accepting entries for the parade. Thank you for the reminder. Appreciate it.
No other public comment at this time, so we'll close out the public comments. And I'd like to ask the council members if I could move the appointments up for the Homestead Housing Authority Board, so they don't have to sit through the entire meeting. There's no objection. But at this time, part of the responsibility of the Office of Mayor of Homestead is to fill appointments, necessary appointments in the Homestead Housing Authority Board. And at this time, I'd like to reappoint Ms. Lois Jones. She has requested to become active again in the board, and also Ms. Carmen Rodriguez. I know you're in the audience. I'd love for you to come up and say a few words to the council, and I appreciate your service to the community.
Good afternoon. I'm very honored for this opportunity to serve, and I look forward to working with you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and serve and move our community forward. Thank you.
We really do appreciate your offering up your time and your expertise, so thank you so much. Do we need any kind of a motion for that?
I'll move it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you so much, council members. Going back to the agenda, additions, deletions, or deferrals, Mr. Manager?
None.
None? Is item 2, item 2 is already pulled?
Already pulled.
Tab 2?
Yeah, it was already pulled, no?
Okay, so
Yeah.
tab 2 has pulled. Okay, so, all right. Tab 1 is consent agenda. Is there any, properly moved, is there a second? Ms. Waldman's waving, she can't speak, so Ms. Waldman seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we'll move on to public hearings. Mr. Attorney?
You have no quasi-judicial items on the agenda this evening, so we'd move right into legislative matters under tab 3, which is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 30 zoning, Article 3 District Regulations, Division 23, Planned Urban Neighborhood District, Section 30-396.62 sub-areas of the Southwest Neighborhood Planned Urban Neighborhood to provide for athletic fields as a special exception use within the industrial sub-area, amending Article 4 Supplemental District Regulations, Division 8 Special Exceptions to provide for athletic fields as a special exception use within the industrial sub-area of the Planned Urban Neighborhood Zoning District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Anything from staff, Mr. Manager?
The second reading, Joe, anything?
No, sir, it's the same old thing we went through before. We recommend you approve this. It just extends the ability to do outdoor soccer fields into the Southwest neighborhood industrial areas. Now we got the entire city covered.
Got it. Any questions from council?
Yeah, you're saying in only the industrial areas?
Yes, sir. We had them. We put them in the industrial areas of the other sections of the city, and now we went and added them into the Southwest neighborhood because we realized that at the time that we did that, basically with your comments that we hadn't included them in the industrial.
So you didn't have to open it back up and send out public notices like we did the last time?
We did everything we were required to do other than the code to get this advertised and taken care of.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Williams? Oh, yes, that's it. Okay. Any final comments from council? This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against this ordinance, you're welcome to come now. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? It's offered by Ms. Waldman, seconded by Mr. Maldonado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess,
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough,
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 4.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2013, ending September 30th, 2014, by increasing the total budgeted revenue and expenditures by $4 million, providing for a repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Staff report, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this is the first of a bunch of pieces involving the decisions that were through consensus or the consensus discussions we had at the last COW. This one involves the bond referendum and the temporary space. So at the COW meeting of February 11th, the mayor and council provided direction to relocate the police headquarters out of the existing unsafe police building and into a temporary site at the Homestead Sports Complex. Direction was also provided for the city to move forward with a bond referendum for a new police building. The estimated costs of the improvements at the temporary site are not expected to exceed $3 million, while the costs for the new police building are estimated at $18 million. The total project cost of $21 million will be included in a bond referendum. At this time, $4 million in capital expenditures is anticipated to be expended prior to the issuance of the bonds, $3 million at the temporary site, and $1 million for the new police building. Therefore, at this time, the funding source assumed for this amendment is proceeds from debt. Should the bond referendum not be successful, the city would fund these expenses from the general fund. Staff recommends mayor and council approve and amend the appropriations to establish the new police building fund for fiscal year 2014 as per the attached of Exhibit 1.
This is only for the $4 million for the relocation.
Correct.
Only for the $4 million. Any questions from council?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Burgess.
I just want to stress, as I did last week at the committee of the whole, and I would almost put it upon the council with myself that we cap the money spent on that stadium at $3 million, period. And whoever they bring in there needs to do the job for that, because I don't see us ever retrieving any of this money out of that building again as we move forward. If anybody's been out there, and I don't know who else has toured it, the disrepair of that building and things, as we move forward, I just don't see how the money's being put in there helps us in the future. So I would like to make sure that whoever's in charge of that project, Mr. Manager, knows that they better not show back up here with an overrun or a request for more funds. $3 million is all that I will vote for out there.
Yeah.
And I just want to reiterate that again tonight.
And we agree with you, and we appreciate that comment, and we're going to do everything we can to stay within that. You'll have a second bite at the apple when we come back to you for a contract, to approve a contract for a contractor to do the work. And at that time, hopefully, we can reemphasize that, and that's our plan at this time.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Manager? Explain that you said the $1 million will be for what now? You said $3 million for the renovation and then the $1 million for the...
Preliminaries for the new police building.
Explain that.
Julio?
Yeah, that extra $1 million is a not to exceed amount that we expect to use for environmental assessment of sites, of proposed sites, appraisals, et cetera, upfront costs that we need to further study sites that we're going to use for the permanent.
And the money's coming from which areas again? How are you coming up with the $4 million? Money's coming from what departments? How you all Mr. Finance?
Councilman, as stated in here, basically what it is the proceeds from debt. So right now it's basically cash from the general fund. This is done all the time when you have grants that are on reimbursement basis. You apply for the grants, you're expending the funds before you actually get the reimbursement. So you're basically spending cash. The funding source, which is the important part here, is you're appropriating $4 million, and the anticipated funds for that is going to be the issuance of the bonds. Should that not be successful, then the monies will be absorbed in the general fund.
So if the bond is not successful, then we will pay for the police station through the general fund each year?
These $4 million would be absorbed with the general fund, whether we take out a loan and pay it over time or it's absorbed. But the key thing is if the proceeds from debt doesn't go through, then the $4 million is coming from the general fund.
And then if the bond referendum was defeated, then we'd have to come back to you with a plan. My guess is to retrofit the current building and put them back into a building that is not sufficient for their needs would be one option, and we'll look at others, but that really is something downstream we'd have to deal with. But that's pretty much the process at this time.
One other question. I did get an email from a concerned citizen that did talk about how the building was built and the monies that the tourism dollars that were used. Could you speak to that to the record so that the community is clear on that?
Yes,
I did get an email.
In fact, Jeff DiCarlo is here. Jeff, did you want to go on the record? I think Jeff did all the research from Weiss Serota, and I think it'd be helpful for him to explain his research. We'll put him on the spot.
Just no more than 2 minutes, because
no more than 2 minutes.
I know y'all have 4-hour meetings.
You missed the 50-minute presentation last week, so you sure that we don't want to do us to do it again?
No, I'm not interested. I got all my information out of Miami Herald. Just 2 minutes.
Just so the council knows, Jeff is is one of my partners. He's the head of our municipal bond group, and we, in anticipation of or someone asked the question as to how the way that the baseball stadium was constructed and the funds might affect. Go ahead, Jeff.
So would you let him know just 2 minutes?
Yes, I can do that in 2 minutes.
Thank you.
I did a little bit of research, and what I found was that there was a settlement of a lawsuit back in 1989 between Miami Beach and Homestead, in which Miami Beach ended up agreeing that part of the convention development tax dollars that they were receiving could be used for the stadium financing, and agreed to give that money to Homestead. The only thing I found of record were resolutions between Homestead and Miami Beach, and those did not indicate that there was any restriction in terms of having to return the monies if the facility was not used for a sports complex. Now, in fact, obviously it was, and it was also pledged to bonds, which is another permitted use. So those things have already happened, and the bonds have long been paid off, somewhere around 2000. So this is many years later. It is arguably not even a change of use because it's just temporary in nature, but in any case, there was no restriction that those funds had to be returned as long as they were used for that purpose at the time.
Okay, great. I just wanted to put that on the record for the concerned citizen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Any other comments?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share the sentiments from Councilman John Burgess about a hard $3 million cap on that project. I was never a fan of change orders because some fishy things happen with those change orders, and then they get money on the back end. So whoever's doing business with the city, I thank you, John, for raising that we're very firm on these prices that we're putting forward. So I don't think you can come back on the back end with change orders to pad your pockets. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And also, you know, for the public, you know, the obvious reason for this expenditure is that we've got the police department currently in a building that's got some issues, then there are health issues, and so we really kind of are backed into a corner, but we do have to do something to put them in a safer environment. So the analysis was done, the expenses were tabulated, and unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the baseball stadium was the winner, and it's really as much about the safety of the police officers in the building as much as anything. So I agree with all the comments. We do need to be very specific on the dollars, and if we have to cut a little bit of it out in order to cut some wishes, but stay within budget.
Absolutely.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I concur with what my colleagues have said. The only thing I would caution of is when you're talking about change orders and you're talking about awarding the contract to the contractor, I agree 100%. No change orders, firm line, hold the line. If you agree to it, you have to spend it. But at the same time, I also don't want to handicap our ability to provide a proper facility, temporary or not, for our police department to operate out of. So at the same time, I just want to make sure that we don't shortchange what we need to do for our police department for a short-term time so that they can operate correctly. So that would be where I want to draw the line, and that I agree that the cheapest we can make this, the better. And when it comes to the contractor, we draw the line and say this is it. But at the same time, if additional monies may be needed to be expended in order to make it operate more efficiently or properly, then I also don't want to handicap staff either. So that would be the only term I would want to say.
Okay, anything else from council before I open up public hearings? Ms. Waldman?
I agree with my colleagues, but I particularly agree with Vice Mayor.
Don't cut it short. Get it done right.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm hoping we can stick, to the $3 million. But once you get in there, you never know. Hopefully they will.
Okay, at this time, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against this issue, you're welcome to step to the microphone, name and address for the record.
Robert Barnes, architect, 221 North Chrome Avenue, president of Main Street.
Is that mic on, Robert? Is that microphone on?
It's
is
on.
It green?
Green.
Okay, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Robert Barnes, 221 North Chrome Avenue, architect, president of Main Street Organization. We'd just like to commend you on taking the steps forward to create a renaissance in our downtown Homestead, and giving the citizens of Homestead the right to vote for the outcome of the future. We're behind it 100%. Thanks.
Thank you. There any other comments at this time as to the expenditure towards the temporary police? I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough.
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman.
Yes.
Councilman Burgess.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 5.
Tab 5 is a motion to transfer funds from contingency to cover the cost of the special election.
Staff report, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this is a transfer of funds to cover the cost of the special election. The estimate is $110,000, but clerk's office, we're not 100% sure of that yet, correct? Okay, so just that's the one caveat here is that's the estimate the county has given us, but they also said it's an estimate and it could be more. So if it's more, we'll come back to you as needed, but it's not really, it's out of our hands in terms of what the costs are.
Any comments from
This
council?
is a regular
Yes,
special
sir.
election. No, this is not a mail-in ballot, is it?
Correct. It's a regular, people would come to the polls and vote. This,
Is that all, Mr. Williams?
I guess through the manager to the clerk, if I could, sir. Is that with or without the early voting? Because the numbers that I see for early voting, unfortunately, in the city of Homestead,
That is without the early voting
Okay.
cost.
and that would be what I would prefer. So, thank you. Okay, that was my question.
Any final comments? Any other comments?
Yeah, I just raised, have we looked at the mail-in ballot election piece of y'all, just to see what the cost difference would be?
When we did the research, they gave us a quote of about $66,000
For a mail-in
for
ballot?
the mail-in. But that does not include everything. Because early voting with the mailing ballots will also be an additional cost.
Yeah. Mr. Maldonado?
For the record, City Clerk, can you let us know exactly what this $110,000 is paying for with our special election? Is it mail-in? Is it what are we getting for this?
You're getting the services of the Miami-Dade County Elections Department for running the election. And the additional $20,000 is for advertising the public notices for the election.
Yeah.
Any other comments? This is a public hearing, so anyone that would like to speak as to this issue, you're welcome to come to the microphone.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Albert Miranda, 2112 Northeast 38 Road, Homestead, Florida, 33033. As I read the agenda, forgive me, and maybe you guys can clarify, but what is the special election's purpose? Again, I wasn't at the last meeting or have an understanding of it, so.
We'll let the manager or the attorney speak.
The special election is being held in order to authorize the issuance of bonds for several purposes. One, there'll be one special election, even though they're at the same time, for the police station, to ask the voters whether they want to give the council the ability to borrow money to construct a new police station. And that goes to the voters, and the voters will have an opportunity to vote that up or down. And there'll also be a special election at the same time to determine whether they want the voters want to authorize the council to spend money to finish up our renovation of the Seminole Theater. So both of these are special elections in order to find out from the voters whether they want to give the city, the council, and the city the authorization to borrow money to be paid back from tax money.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up.
Any other public comments at this time? I'll close the public comment. Any final comments from council?
Just if I could, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps the manager, just for the public that are here tonight and those that are listening on the net or the web or whatever, explain why you, or the reasoning that we have chosen to try to do a special election, if you could, for them.
Sure. Basically, Vice Mayor, Councilman Burgess, what we found after numerous environmental reports is that the existing police station is contaminated with radon, with mold and other significant problems within the building. The building itself was constructed, at least a portion of it was constructed in 1910, when the population here was about 121 people. And the building is really not sufficient to meet the needs of the department. But the emergency piece of this is that we need to move the employees out of that building as soon as possible because of the environmental issues that are there. So what we're asking for is sufficient funds to be able to move the department to temporary space and to construct a new building that will be obviously contamination-free and also to meet the needs of the police department.
I guess the one thing that I missed was, and that I was trying to get to them, is in order for us to start doing this, we need to get this in to the county a certain amount of days out. And that's why we would be looking to do a special election now, so that we could include.
Right, in order to meet the trim notice.
That's the point I was trying to get.
In order to be able to get onto the county trim notice and have those revenues available to us, then we'd need to get it on, we'd have to have the election prior to June 1st. The May 13th deadline is what the elections division had told us was the latest they could do for us, was May 13th prior to June 1st. And so we tried to push it out as far as possible. The first date they gave us was a little earlier, and we asked them for a courtesy to push it as long as possible so that we have enough time to provide the public sufficient information for them to make a decision on Election Day.
Thank you. That's what I was. Thank you, Mayor.
That's it. Okay, is there a motion? Ms. Wallman, you say?
I'll make the motion.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussions, final discussions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 6.
This item is a budget amendment to transfer funds from the Parks and Recreation Department to the Police Department.
Mr. Manager, could you explain?
Sure, Mayor. What this is when we initially when you initially approved the budget last year, it was anticipated that the Parks and Recreation Department would be managing everything involved with the stadium, the maintenance costs. And now, because of the move to the stadium to temporary space in which the police department will be in charge of the operational portion, they will need money for the interior operations. Parks will continue to do some of the outside maintenance. So in essence, this moves a portion of that budget to the police department so that they can spend what they need to operate the building itself.
Any questions from council? No questions? This is a public hearing as well. Anyone like to speak to this issue? You're welcome to come to the microphone. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final comments?
Yeah, just a quick question, George. Sitting here thinking about it. The parks, you're saying you're moving money from the Parks and Recs Department which is allocated through what fund? Through the general fund? The Park and Rec normally operate out of the general fund, right?
That's correct.
These are not fees, so.
No, it's general fund.
Just general fund, so.
So
And
it's
the police
real-
operates out of the general fund.
Correct.
So you're just transferring.
And what
within- in
finance is
departments.
also assured of us of is for the portions that they're moving over to police, that those will be specifically allocated for operations for that particular building, and they'll track and make sure that those expenses are directly for the stadium, not to be transferred to any other police expense.
Would you be able to provide us a monthly report?
Excuse me?
Would you be able to provide I've been out of the game for 3 months. Would you be able to provide me a monthly report on
Sure.
that, please?
Is that all, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, I'm sorry. Tab 7?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Vice Mayor.
I need to declare I have a conflict on this particular item. I sit on the Board of Directors for the Everglades Association, which is the entity that is requesting use of the trolleys on behalf of Everglades National Park.
Okay.
How you gonna vote?
Item tab 7 is the use of the trolley, Everglades National Park, legacy on the land. Move it.
Let me do my.
Oh, I'm
staff
sorry.
report.
Come on, catch up. Come on, man.
Any questions from council? Anyone?
They just jumped.
Okay. It's properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. Just for the public's wishes, could you please tell us about what this is, Mr. Manager?
Mayor, the Everglades National Park Association is requesting the use of a city trolley for the Legacy on the Land event on Saturday, March 1st, 2014, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The trolley will transport guests from the Co-Visitor Center to Royal Palm. The association will cover the trolley expense of $83 per hour.
Okay, this is a public hearing. We're loaning the trolleys. No, we're letting someone use the trolleys. So, any comments from the public? No comments. I'll close the public hearing. Final comments from council. Motion was made and seconded. Roll call, madam.
This question.
Yes.
Is this something that we already happened last year or so? Julio? With
Councilman
using the trolley in an organization?
This was done last year, yes. This is the second year that they do this event.
It's with Everglades?
Everglades National Park, yes.
I'm good.
And there's nothing being donated because they're paying the rate for the.
Correct, they're paying all the costs for the use, yes.
Okay. Anything else? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 8.
A waiver of use fees for the rental of the William Bill Dickinson Community Center.
Staff report.
Mayor, the Miami Children's Chorus is requesting the mayor and council to authorize the city manager to approve a waiver of usage fees in the amount of $500 for the use of the William F. Bill Dickinson Community Center Banquet Hall on March 1st, 2014, to host a sing-along event. According to the city's code, Chapter 20, Section 20-11, fees and charges, the city council sets fees and has the right to waive parks and recreation fees by a majority vote.
Any comments from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just had a comment.
Ms. Fairclough.
This is a phenomenal organization. I had the opportunity to attend the event the last time they were here. Incredible kids, beautiful voices, packed house, standing room only, and it was just a wonderful time and experience the last time I was here. And I look forward to, if this is passed tonight, coming back to join them again, and I invite the community to come out as well because it's time well spent.
Ms. Waldman.
There are 3 tabs for all nonprofits, and I was just going to ask if we could combine them, because I think we sort of set a policy before that if they're nonprofit, those would be ones we would look at. So I don't know how the council feels about that.
Because they're public hearings, is that okay?
You could do it all at one time and open up to the public at one time.
One may not be nonprofit.
Yeah, one is,
I was told by Pedro today that all 3 of them are nonprofit.
We have 8 and 9, 10. Yeah. Pedro is the Somerset Academy. That's a for-profit, correct?
No, Somerset Academy is in fact non-for-profit.
Okay, great.
Okay, so there's a request to put all 3 on for discussion at one time and voted on at one time. Is that your request?
Yes.
Okay, Is there any opposition to that? Okay, seeing none. So you want to read tab 9 and tab 10?
right. 8 is on the floor. This we've discussed, the Bill Dickinson Center. 9 is Harris Field Pavilion, and 10 is, again, for the FICO Williams Community Center, 3 fee waivers.
These are all waiver of fees for not-for-profits using the facilities. These are public. This is a public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak for or against, you're welcome to come at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion? Ms. Waldman?
Second.
And Mr. Williams is back.
He makes up for me.
So there is a motion and a second. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess,
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 11.
Resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, calling for a referendum regarding the issuance of general obligation bonds by the City of Homestead in an amount not to exceed $21 million for the purpose of financing the cost of a temporary facility and permanent facility for the police headquarters, providing for publication of notice said referendum, providing for the option of the representation, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution calling for a referendum special election regarding the issuance of general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $21 million for the purpose of building a new public safety police building. The bonds will be issued in one or more series, maturing at such time or times not exceeding 30 years, and bearing interest at a rate or rates not exceeding the legal maximum limit of interest. The bonds pledge the full faith and credit of the city and will be payable from ad valorem taxes levied by the city on all taxable property within the city.
Any comments from council?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Williams.
I'm glad we're sending this out to the people, because I ran on not holding taxes, holding the line, and so the people vote to increase their taxes. I'm all for it. But could you give us an estimate on how much on perhaps they will see on their taxes a year for this particular?
Yes, sir, and again, these are estimates. As we get closer to the bond financing and placing them, we'll know what the figures are. But right now, we used a property value of $169,600, which is the median value in the city of Homestead.
But not in the southwest area, in the house worth $169,000 over there.
In the city of Homestead, the annual impact to that property for the new police building, the annual impact would be $138.25. For the Seminole Theater renovations, it would be $32.92, but that's without exemptions. So if you take, properties that have 25,000 exemptions and then two $25,000 exemptions, then that comes down for the police building, it would be just under $100 at $97.49 annually, and for the Seminole Theater, it would be $23.21.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And that's just for those two projects.
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Vice Mayor?
But just for clarification, I know we've had a couple of these items and we keep asking questions, we keep getting some information, it's bits and pieces. So I think it'd be good to refer back to the fact that we had a committee of the whole meeting last Tuesday in which there was ample discussion on these items. There was a full hour-plus presentation made by staff. And so anybody that happens to be watching this meeting live or watches it later on as tape delay, there is another meeting that actually has more explanation and more discussion from the council and from staff. So that way, just for future references, people know where to refer back to and get the full information.
And Vice Mayor, also for the public's information, there are 5 binders worth of information on the website as well that outlines all the studies that have been done, all the issues involved, plus the copy of the PowerPoint presentation. And also, if anybody has any questions, they should feel free to call City Hall. More than happy to discuss any questions that they have.
Okay, thank you. That was all. Just want to make sure there was information on this meeting.
Anything else? I'll follow on the heels of Mr. Williams and say that I don't think anyone runs for election and saying they're going to raise taxes. But what we're doing today is giving the public the opportunity to say yes or no to whether they want to increase their own taxes, to provide specific services. It's not going to go into a dark hole of the budget of $160 million budget. It goes to a specific set of projects based on the outcome of the referendum. So this is going to be a tax. This would be a bill. It'll be added to the bottom of your tax bill in a line item that will be specific to the projects that you're agreeing or disagreeing to. So I think the council is correct, and there's no harm in asking a question. And I think that's what we're doing, and seeing if the community is willing to reach into its own pockets to provide the services, provide the, at least in the case with the police department, the appropriate facility where they can operate out of. So I would encourage everyone to participate. One of the questions that you know, the unfortunate situation is the business owners. You know, we want to make it as economically feasible for the businesses to flourish in this community, and unfortunately in most cases they don't have a vote in this kind of scenario because they will be taxed to the same percentages that a residential tax is levied. So this is going to be a tax, but the question's being proposed to you as the voter. So get all the information you can. I encourage everyone to find out everything that you can about these projects. We're at a position where we really have to do something with the police department, one way or the other. And we're asking for you to go to the polls and tell us how you want to do it. So with that, there's no more conversation with council. I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public that would like to speak?
Make one quick comment when you...
I'm sorry.
No, I think the other important thing that we're doing here is the bonds that we're asking for are going to stand on their own merits. So they're not going to all be lumped together, and that people will get to make a conscious decision on each one as they feel, so that, you know, as we move forward, that somebody may be in favor of one thing, but they're not in favor of another. And I think that that's an important thing that we chose up here, was to have each question stand by itself so that we know where everybody stands. So I just wanted to put that out there for the public also.
And at the same time, we don't want to ask the question in a manner where you have to answer yes if you mean no. So that's how a lot of these referendums are put forward to the public to confuse. So, Mr. Williams.
Yeah. I know this is very tricky, but how will we do community education forums for the public, so that they will be engaged in this, and so when they get to the polls that they are, you know, educate. We're going to have district community meetings to, you know, how have we really thought about having the public to be really engaged into this, because the police department is very important for public safety, and then I think the Seminole Theater is very important to downtown and the viability of our community, and not only that, but for the quality of life and culture. So those two things are very important to me. But how are we going to facilitate conversation in each of our areas, and so that the public can feel more engaged and educated about their community with this bond?
We, as staff, have given this a lot of thought in terms of the next step. Should you pass this tonight, over the next couple of days, we're going to start inventorying all the things that we think, ways we think we can get into the public's minds. We have some legal constraints, which we've discussed with the attorneys already, in terms of a new law that was passed that prevents us from actually, as a government, expending any funds advocating a yes or a no. So what we're able to do according to the state law is to provide the information about what is here and what we're asking for and why we're asking for it. And we're able to, as a staff, organize all that information and organize forums and provide information and show up at places. The only thing we can't do as staff is expend funds that would advocate a position one way or the other. Our plan is, over the next 2 days, start inventorying the issues. We also intend to call each one of you to get some feedback as far as your own areas. We also expect to start scheduling community forums in as many areas as each of you would like us to. We are mobilizing staff now and preparing for, you know, a very large effort. The goal is for people to start shooing us away because they're sick of us. And as long as everybody has the information over and over and over again and has an opportunity to ask us the right questions, we are happy to be out there as much as we can, because we really feel this is a complicated issue. As you can see, there are 5 binders here, and so it's very difficult to say that in 3 sentences, and so we really want to engage with the community
Right.
so they understand what's happening.
Wait, so you don't have a pack or anything that you can use? So okay, but that's primarily, you know, that how we were going to get the community educated and more informed. So, you know, because as you know, we have a low voter turnout even for our elections. And so some of this magnitude should be just as equally important as any election that we have, because this is going to be for 30+ years or so, however that tax may last.
And interestingly, about the point about the PAC is that while the law prevents us from advocating a position, if citizens groups gather to start advocating for a particular position, they're more than welcome to do that, and we certainly are able to provide them with as much information as they need. And as we start finalizing the plan, after discussing it with you, we're just going to check with the lawyer's office to make sure that we don't run afoul of the statute, and we'll be ready to hit the ground running. Our official kickoff is really Friday with the staff, and then Monday we think the campaign actually begins, or the informational informational outreach.
Yeah, no campaign, George.
Correct.
Yeah.
Actually, there's the state law that prohibits us from doing anything but educational outreach.
Absolutely. I know you would keep us straight, Richard.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this point. Please put your name and address on for the record, please.
My name is Eric Casillas. I'm a businessman here in Homestead and a resident as well. I'd like to say thank you for letting me speak today. I want to say Mayor Jeff Porter, Councilman, and City Manager. Basically, at the end of the day, as just one person, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the police station is and should be priority number 1. I understand that we have other things in the community that makes us, the city, but at the end of the day, if we don't have the people that we need to serve and protect us, we don't have anything. So therefore, that should be our number 1 priority. Second thing, if the Seminole Theater is in fact, one of the other priorities, will it pay itself? What will it be bringing to the table for the community? Those are questions that I know a lot of people are going to be asking themselves. So that's, it's very important that when we bring these packets and we tell them that we're going to raise our taxes, everybody's going to say, wait a minute, I'm already paying X amount of dollars in taxes. I want to make sure that my tax dollars is being used in a good way. And definitely, the police, we need to do, they need to be number 1. Because if they're not healthy, we're not healthy because we have problems. That would be all that I have to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, the timeline on the study that's being put together for feasibility of the Seminole Theater, I know when is that due in?
We received a commitment from the consultant to get some preliminary numbers by the end of the month, and we'll bring those to you. And then the final report should be, Rick, about a month later. What was the date? That is correct. And so you'll have the full report, and that's the best we could do at this time.
Okay. So the study really will not play into this discussion?
Well, we think that the preliminary numbers should be fairly solid enough that you'll understand the minimum and the maximum in terms of subsidy. Okay. And it won't necessarily be here's the subsidy that the city is going to provide. It's more about how much money will the theater need to receive in order to stay open. And those are the kind of numbers we think are important for you, because if it's $1, most people won't have concerns, and if it's $5 million a year, then people are going to have major concerns. So we think the number is going to be a range, and hopefully that will give people a comfort level or a discomfort level depending on how they read the numbers. But we want to have you at least have some ballpark figure of what the potential exposure is for shortfall.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Here's my thing on the Seminole Theater. It's our city asset. We own it. They've been doing this going on 20 years now plus. This is probably the fourth or fifth administration. And we've got to do something with the Seminole Theater. It cannot, we've already invested so much in it. I know we've done study after study, and we've studied out that you know, it's our asset. We've got to do something with it. It cannot continue to be what it is. I hear about his concerns, but at the same time, we've been in this, I would say, fight for since I've been elected, which is 5 years. But there are other. I think goes all the way back to you, Mayor Porter, when you were on council, prior to many of us, and Judy, way back to when you were first elected. So, I mean, this is your third or fourth cycle, and we've got to do something. The Seminole Theater is very important to culture for the city. It's very important to downtown and its infrastructure that's going to help to bring in different things. And so I don't want persons to dismiss the Seminole Theater and its importance to the culture of Homestead, because it does add value. And I believe that once it's up and running and we get a good operator in there, with anything, it's going to take a couple years for it to break even, but it's our investment, it's our asset. So I just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. Next, please.
Kevin Pedersen, 29430 Southwest 172 Avenue. I think I live at 406 Washington Avenue. But I was kind of in a unique position to address the police station bond issue. And that is, one, as a business owner, a property owner downtown, I do not mind my taxes going up for that purpose. I say that as a business owner. As a retired law enforcement officer, I can tell you that this city has a great police department, and it has a reputation that's incredible, Chief. I had the pleasure of traveling all over the world with an undercover officer from this department, and we put hundreds of people in jail, and we seized millions and millions and millions of assets and dollars, a lot of which went into the coffers here in this city. I think you remember that, Jeff, back in 1998. One case in particular I brought here, and we seized about $3.2 million right down the street here from somebody we brought from New York. It was embarrassing as a DEA agent, and I know it was for the police department here, because we were putting about 30 kilos of coke on the street. That means you got to bring an army with you, mostly supervisors. And we had to give a briefing in the Homestead Police Department, and there wasn't enough room for the people, let alone the SWAT team, that were going to take all this down. And this department deserves a state-of-the-art police department. Chief, you guys do a great job. I mean, I've been out there with you guys years past, where we've had shots fired and everything else, and these guys do a great job, and you guys should be commended for them. And they deserve everything we can give them. If that means our property taxes go up, good. You deserve it, Chief. That's all I wanted to say that for you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Robert Barnes, 221 North Chrome Avenue. Myself and Yvonne Knowles did our own little poll. I personally called many landowners that don't live in the city but pay a lot of taxes. I pay taxes on about 20,000 square feet myself. It's in the city limits in the CRA district. I spoke about all the issues. Some of them had concerns. You've heard them all here tonight. When I explained to them that what we're doing here tonight is making a decision to allow the citizens to make the decision. Every one of those which don't get to vote, a few of them did. I'm going to name you their names so you can check me out if you want to. I talked to Mark Bell. I talked to Bob Mitchell. owns a substantial amount of property downtown. I talked to Rick Mullins, that owns over 100,000 square feet in downtown and west of town. I talked to Donald Groh, that owns the Floridian Hotel on US 1, and I asked him the question: if City Hall gets built downtown and the police station gets built downtown and we could resurrect the Seminole Theater, what does it do to your property values and to your business? And every one of them agreed with me that it was the best thing that could happen. So I just want to tell you that there are people out there that couldn't be here tonight for different reasons or don't like to come to these places. But the truth is, you can't drag them here, right? But they all told me that, and you can ask every one of them. And I talked to twice that many people. I talked to Alan Levine in Miami. He still owns property here. He used to own Art South. I talked to quite a few people, and they all told me the exact same thing, that this should happen. Thank you.
Robert, it's incumbent upon people like yourselves and Kevin to reach out and explain and get the word out so that people realize what's going on. It's a huge investment.
And thank you very much for what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Bill Martin. I live at 2565 Fairways Drive in Keysgate. I'm here tonight because I happened to hit the article in the neighbor section that said this meeting is coming about. I don't know how you can make any judgment, pro or con, with just that number of $21 million out there. Who's going to oppose it? Look at the voter turnout you get here. It wouldn't take much of an effort, I don't think, to get it through. But I have a lot of questions. The Seminole Theater, sure, I'd like to see it fixed up and running. 12 years that I've driven by it, nothing's changed on it. Maybe something inside. And I understand there was like maybe $10 million spent on it up to that point. I don't know. I'm standing to be corrected. $21 million. Break it out. What is it going to cost me per year? For how many years? It's a lot of money. I just wish you'd give a little more time to really go over this as to priorities, number one. And certainly the health of the city employees was important, and now the police department. I think there's got to be more thought put into it than I've heard tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Reference to the $21 million, there's been significant amount of effort to coordinate those numbers, correct?
Sure, and Julio, our Director of Public Works and City Engineer, if you could just give us like the 2-minute snapshot of all the reports they did and how the period of time that has been spent to go over this information and really understand both the exposure to the employees and also the costs.
Well, in terms of the health hazards, the city conducted 9 different environmental studies in the existing building to ensure and make sure that we, looked at every single possibility in terms of safety of our police officers and our personnel.
That was over the course of 1 year, correct?
That was over the course of 1 year, and the reason it takes that time is because some studies are as a result of previous studies, so you can't do them all at the same time. You got to do them in consecutive fashion. So that's that on the one hand. On the other hand, in terms of cost analysis that were done regarding the $18 million, we've had several different efforts from going back to 2009 to now, looking at possible cost for a police building of the square footage that we're talking about, and they've all come under the $18 million figure. So we feel safe that that number is a number that we can stick with.
So you had a lot of analysis input from the police department. So it has been going on
Absolutely,
for years.
yes.
As far as the the dollar figure.
Correct, and the police department, basically, they're the ones that put together their needs, the list of needs that they would need at the building to make sure that the cost analysis that was performed took that into account.
And Julio, could you explain also the experts that you relied on in addition to yourself and your staff?
Well, when it comes to the environmental studies, we used the Enviro team, which is the same people that we used at the City Hall building, 39 years experience. They're certified in these type of studies, etc. And we also used Rodriguez Quiroga, which is the architects that did the City Hall plans for us. They're very familiar with the City of Homestead and what our needs are. And they were the ones that back in 2009 did the original analysis of the building and with a cost estimate at that time.
And also Colliers on the swing space?
And Colliers, and also the real estate consultant that we use, Colliers, in terms of the swing space to make sure that all the possible sites that were within the City of Homestead were looked at to make sure we had the right selection.
So that's how you ended up, you eliminated everything, and we ended up with the baseball stadium as basically the last available area standing.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Janet LeGrand. I am a resident here in Fairways Drive, as well as a business owner in downtown Homestead. I just wanted to point out something that was said throughout the campaigns about changes. We've been doing things certain ways, certain years, and it's about doing something right, different this time. And I've sat here and talked about presentation over presentations of public-private partnerships and what we're able to do for the City of Homestead. And it seems to go on to deaf ears for some reason. So as the taxpayers, we hear that we're going to go on for referendums on bonds and increase taxes. And we have Governor Scott that created this wonderful P3 new legislation to allow municipalities such as yourself to be able to go into the private sector to essentially seek private financing for these projects so that you won't put this tax increases into your residents, but nothing's been done about it. We just recently submitted a Homestead municipal proposal that is an entire complex that includes a brand new city hall and a brand new police station that was taken into account the general designs that was done back in 2009 for 60,000 square feet, brand new gold LEED, about $15 million. This is a brand new building. And I feel that we have a great team that is experienced in public safety, top 10 global giant bank, and all the bells and the whistles, and for some reason, we're not getting through to city council members. And we're not taken serious, and we don't understand why. And yet, we're passing referendums to increase taxes on us, me, as a taxpayer, as a resident here, and many others in this community, when we have Governor Scott that created a legislation, again, to be able to fill this gap. Now, I'm not going to sit here any longer and present something if it's going on deaf ears. I think that our proposal gives a very good alternative option, and I'm sure there's other companies out there that, from a P3 standpoint, will feel the same way, and I'll leave that up to you. Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Manager? Good. You got the proposal, right?
We received the proposal. We've looked at it. Obviously, there's several issues with this proposal. The first one is what they're proposing. There's different philosophies here first, so you have to decide first on the philosophy of, do you want to ask the voters for permission and give them a say in whether they're going to increase their taxes in order to pay for new facilities, and that would come from voter-approved debt. Under this P3 solution, the money to pay for their option would involve paying for it through the general fund, so that involves a millage rate increase in order to pay for that. And so that's the first piece is, do you go to the voters or do you find another way? Do you have a competitive process whereby you ask construction companies to come in and you show them what you want to build and they give you their best price? Or do you hire a private company that just send it an unsolicited proposal and basically let them think about what the project is, give you a concept, and then what they call design build, which is they kind of design it and build it along the way. The other piece of this proposal that is something that you should all be aware of is that what they're proposing is a whole complex that would involve a city hall for $23.5 million, a police station building for $17.5 million, a walkway for $700,000, a parking garage for $5 million. It says utilities, earthwork, $2.5 million, general conditions, insurance and fees, $7 million. So the total capital budget that they're proposing is $56 million, and that doesn't include the cost for the Seminole Theater. And then also what they're proposing is that the financing of this, because they're saying is P3 means that you don't have to borrow the money, we'll borrow the money, we'll build a facility for you, you'll pay rent, and after the rent goes for 15 years or 30 years or whatever the time frame is, after the building has been paid off through these rental payments, and also as they make their profits, then they turn the building over to you for $1 or a particular price. What's not in this proposal is the actual financing costs that would be folded into this $56 million. And that's in their proposal. It says to be negotiated. And what they're also proposing is that there is a operation and maintenance services rate of $14.33 per square foot paid monthly plus annual escalations at a greater of 30% or the U.S. Department of Labor Consumer Price Index. And so, and then there's also some administrative fees that are in here as well. And so in order for us to actually give you the total cost of this project, it's very difficult because we don't know what the final financing costs would be because they say to be negotiated. And also we know from the markets that the municipal bond process, because our bonds are tax exempt and we're not factoring in a profit for ourselves, we tend to be able to get a lower interest rate. And also, we tell the construction companies what we're going to build, and they build it according to our specifications. With the design build, they have this particular group would have a substantial say in how things would go. Now, I'm not passing judgment on one process versus another, just kind of get a sense of the one thing that's important to get straight here is that the idea that a P3 means that you don't have to raise taxes is not true, because you have to pay rent, and there's annual rent payments that have to come from someplace. So they're either going to come through a municipal bond, where the money is there to pay for your building costs, or you do a P3 and you have to pay for it through your general fund. And general fund comes from your millage rate property taxes.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me just say this, because I don't want to sit up here and be accused of something that I know I'm not. I've gone through the proposals, and George, you've sent the outlining each proposal that has come across my desk. I've looked at the cost. I've seen it. I've seen exactly what you're saying. So I don't want to be dismissed as not informed or being dismissed as not being heard. But I think, in the system of democracy, we're putting this back in the hands of the people to vote for themselves to have a tax increase. We're not looking to raise the millage rate to pay for these costs. We're trying to. We know exactly what we need. This is something that is an emergency that we need. And that's the city hall and the police station. Those public safety is first. And I looked at what you have indicated, and it does say all of that what you just said. I've gone through it, and so I feel comfortable with what you have proposed, Mr. City Manager. And I think the staff has done a superb job. And I think that I don't, want the staff to feel that their work has been dismissed, because the effort has definitely gone out there to bring it to us the best proposal for the people of Homestead. Thank you.
Mr. Montalvo?
Thank you, Mayor. To the Mayor, to the Manager. In this P3 form that we're discussing here, are they able to raise the rent, basically? I mean, you said that we're basically paying a rent. So as we pay rent, will it be raising the rent to put it in normal terms? And the reason why I bring this is that when I was the president of my association, I found myself in a similar situation where the community bought into, they bought into the community, and there was a clubhouse that was involved. And that clubhouse was still owned by the developer. And so there was an option that a third party was coming to buy it, so that we would pay, kind of the same scenario, we would pay it back over time, but we had no control over the rent. So over time, it was an issue that we were going to be paying more. So what we did with the community is said, listen, pay now or pay later, you're going to pay. But and we ended up going with a bond, and the bond allowed us to control the rent and keep the ownership of this property, and so that there was no third party ever to hinder us. And so understanding and looking at this P3, that's something similar that we're going to run into?
It's very difficult to answer that question, and I'll read you exactly what it says in their proposal. It says, Blue Network has arranged for project financing to enable the City of Homestead to pay for your new Homestead Municipal Complex through a series of monthly rental payments over a 25 to 30-year period. At the end of the years, the city will have the option to purchase the complex for $1. And here's the key sentence. The detailed terms of financing will be summarized prior to financial close.
Excuse me, what that means...
And then there's another sentence in the proposal that says, financing terms, quote, to be negotiated.
That's correct.
So the problem here is we have no idea what their proposal is. We do know when we saw their previous proposal for a city hall, it was a similar type thing where it's very difficult to understand the total cost for this, because they wait till the back end they wait for you to say, okay, go ahead and start negotiating with them, and then we don't know what the negotiations will do. And then if you held everything off tonight and just decided, let's see what her deal is, the problem then is you miss your window of opportunity for the bond election to happen prior to June 1st.
If I may, I'd like to comment on that.
Go ahead, and then I will ask the council a simple question.
Yes, I didn't, I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, I said, go ahead, and then I'm just going to ask the council a simple question.
Thank you. All I wanted to clarify is what that sentence said, and I couldn't agree more, Mr. Manager. I think that your interpretation of what the proposal is and what we're trying to do is incorrect, and I'll be more than happy to meet with you on a forum like this, on a special meeting or in your office to really explain our proposal. Because the reality is that the last proposal that we submitted for the City Hall had a 100% financing, and this proposal, because it's an unsolicited proposal, because we've taken from a program standpoint the City Hall program and the general designs from the police station, we can only give you a budget. This would be the worst case scenario from a building standpoint. A design build process requires the client, the end user, to engage with the designers as well as the contractors so that we can essentially design to a more cost effective and maintain the control of the design into a cost. So it is not that we're going to go on our own and start designing this thing and then constructing and having back and go ahead and put on this fees. This 56.199,700 capital budget includes all the financing, all the fees, all general conditions. This is the worst case scenario for a municipal complex. That's what that means. Now, having said that, terms and conditions in a term sheet and financials, that's all done on the final proposal. And for me to get to a final proposal, I need the input of this council. I need the input of the PD. I need to know what they want to build, and if what we have in terms of those images that you see there, if it's sufficient enough in terms of the program. We understand there's an EOC right now as part of the RFP that's on the City Hall because we bidded on that. And there's also an EOC that the PD is requesting. That's double dipping. Why would you need two EOCs? So that's a question that is for the end users to ask, to essentially say, no, we don't need that. And if you don't need it on the City Hall, well, guess what? That's a cost savings on the City Hall. So that 23.5 that you have in there actually goes down. And that's just on one program. So what we are asking is just simply to sit at the table and draft some sort of design some sort of program that meets so that we can actually give you real numbers, real finance, and a term sheet that you can essentially take to the bank. Most likely somewhere in the neighborhood, options like we did with the City Hall, which we gave you two options, 100% financing or 80% financing. And yes, it's rent, like we finance mortgages, like we finance cars. It is a rent. That's all it is.
And Mayor, just to clarify, because I know you don't want back and forth on this.
No, I'm going to...
I think it's important to be clear that I'm really not in a position to guess what her project is. The only thing I was in a position to do is to read her proposal and take the words for what I thought they mean. And this particular one says, financing models to be negotiated with the city through a leaseback agreement, so the city is to remain ownership of the proposed site. The final proposal will include an aggressive financing model, a comprehensive public safety study and design by DLR Group, which means there's no designs yet, a construction budget and schedule by Moss and Associates, which means there's no construction budget and schedule, and a term sheet with financing terms, including options for construction financing and long-term leaseback financing, which means there's no term sheet and financial terms, and a design-build fast-track approach, which under her bio, the report says that Janet LeGrand will retain executive control over the project. So this is really a question of whether it's the voters or Janet LeGrand or somebody else, and I'm not passing judgment on that other than to say I was asked what the facts are.
Understand, and I appreciate both sides of the equation, but I guess the question belongs here at the dais.
Absolutely.
And does anyone on this council at this particular point in time want to change the direction that we're in right now? Because if you do, say so. If not, we're going to move on. No one wants to change?
No.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Move on. So that's where we are. We're on tab, what are we, 11. The public comment is still open. Is there anyone from the public that would like to say anything? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 12.
Resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, calling for a referendum regarding the issuance of general obligation bonds by the City of Homestead in an amount not to exceed $5 million for the purpose of finance the cost of renovating and improving the Seminole Theater building for a public use and entertainment venue, providing for publication notice, referendum, adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Staff report, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, the attached resolution calls for a referendum special election regarding the issuance of general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $5 million for the purpose of renovating and improving the Seminole Theater building. The bonds will be issued in one or more series, maturing at such time or times not exceeding 30 years, and bearing interest at a rate or rates not exceeding the legal maximum limit of interest. The bonds pledge the full faith and credit of the city and will be payable from ad valorem taxes levied by the city on all taxable property within the city.
Council comments? Any questions from council? Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just a comment to kind of repeat what I said at the last meeting, and that is I think that it's important to put this out, to ask the voter the question, because we have a building that's been sitting there essentially not usable, not functional, for the last 10, 15, 20 plus years, and we've been trying to slowly but surely chip away and improve it. And so this is a way to put it out to the public and say, do you want to in fact improve this building? Do you want to turn it into the Seminole Theater and have it be part of a grander plan for the downtown Homestead area? And I think the other thing to look at too is that even if you have, some qualms about whether it should or should not operate as a theater, whether it should or not, will it be profitable, not profitable, and things of that nature, I think you also have to look at it that right now, anybody that's been inside it, it's in pretty bad shape. I mean, it needs a lot of work. And so at this stage of the game, even if we were to say, look, let's just throw it out and let's sell it, no one's going to buy it. No, it's not marketable. It is not a marketable building. And so at the end of this operation, if it's passed by the voter and if they agree to the bond referendum and the building is improved, even if it never ends up operating as a theater, it will then be a marketable piece of property. It'll be something that we can then do something with. And if it just sits there like in its current form, it's never going to be beneficial to anybody. It is a city asset. So ultimately I support putting this out to the bond referendum. I support putting this to the voter. and let them make a decision. Do they want to, fund this building?
Ms. Waldman?
I totally agree. I know I've raised a lot of money. Katie Sorson, through the county, I raised with her $1 million, and the check was presented at this council meeting. Chief, maybe you remember, it was just had happened. I think it's very important that we ask the people. I think it's very important we finish it, like you say. What's going to happen if we don't? So I want to ask a technical question. When we are doing our campaign for
Informational campaign.
Informational. Voter information outreach.
I knew it the minute I said it. When we're doing that, can we actually state the small amount of money that it's going to cost?
Yeah, yes.
We can do that because it's such a little amount of money.
And we're allowed to provide information about the proposal. That's not a problem.
And if I understood Carlos correctly, so if you have the homestead exemption, the $25,000 homestead exemption, it's even a smaller amount of money. Is that correct?
Yeah, the example I gave, which for the police building would be just under $100, about $92 per year in additional taxes, is if a property, the property that I was using had two $25,000 exemptions. You may have some that have a third and some that only have one, and some that don't have any.
The theater?
So, I'm sorry, for the theater, I'm sorry.
But that's okay, that's good.
That same property with two $25,000 homestead exemptions would come out to about $23 per year annually.
Per year.
But with one $25,000 exemption, it would be, what, about 28? I'm guessing.
If it only had one, then it would be $28, yes. That's
I
correct.
did that pretty good in my head. Okay, I just think it's important people realize how little it really is. And hopefully we can get that word out.
Mr. Burgess said around $2 a month.
Pardon?
Mr. Burgess said around $2 a month.
Yeah, that's so little to have such a... And we'll worry about what we're going to do with it when it's finished. And hopefully, I really love the idea that Councilwoman Fairclough had at the COW meeting about reaching out to the other communities. Didn't you say Liberty City? I thought you said Liberty City, no?
Yeah, the Lyric Theater, the city of Miami just paid to revitalize that in a historic Liberty City neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I really like that idea, and I think that should be something that the city does, and really actively work on that. Thank you.
Well, you got the Seminole Theater Board, you've got the downtown associations, they all reap a benefit from the investments of the community to revitalize. So obviously, they need to start going to work too, right away to educate the public on the benefits of finishing the theater. So, any other comments at this time? It is a public hearing. I will open up the public hearing at this time. Any discussions, pro or con? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 13? Tab 13?
Tab 13, Mr. Mayor, tab 13 and 14 are technical resolutions, intent resolutions which are just the first step, subject to voter approval in order for us to issue tax-free bonds. And if the council would like to, I can read them both together and you can vote on them both together.
Any objections? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Attorney. 13 and
Tab
14.
13 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, indicating the official intent of the city to issue tax-exempt bonds in the amount of $21 million to finance the cost of a temporary facility and permanent facility for the police headquarters, to use a portion of the proceeds of such bonds to reimburse expenditures paid or incurred prior to the issuance thereof, providing an effective date. Second one is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, indicating the official intent of the city to issue tax-exempt bonds in the amount of $5 million to finance the cost of renovating, improving the Seminole Theater building for public use as an entertainment venue, and to use portion of the proceeds of such bonds to reimburse expenditures paid prior to the date of the issuance of the bonds thereof, providing an effective date.
Procedural issues only at this time.
Correct.
Any questions from council on item 13 and 14 we're combining? None. This is a public hearing. Any questions regarding tab 13 and 14, which is basically just approving, putting the resolutions together? See, you want to talk about this one? You missed your time. Push the red button.
I just want to say, oh my God, thank you. And I am the president of the Seminole Theater. I'm a business owner, and I'm a homeowner in the city of Homestead, and I don't mind paying the extra taxes for the police department to get built and for the Seminole Theater to get built. And I thank every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, I'll close public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I don't have a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped that. Motion, is there a motion? Moved by Ms. Walden, second by Mr. Burgess.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 15.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and recognizing the waiver of competitive bidding for the emergency replacement, build-out, and improvements of the temporary police headquarters to be located at the city's Homestead Sports Complex, authorizing implementation, providing for severability and effective date.
Mr. Manager, staff report.
Mayor, it's the staff's recommendation that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to take any and all actions necessary to implement the emergency build-out and improvements for the temporary police headquarters to be located at the city's Homestead Sports Complex, and finds that it is in the city's best interest to approve the waiver of competitive bidding pursuant to Section 2-411B of the City Code of Ordinance, as does hereby further find and determine that the improvements necessary to accomplish the replacement of the existing police facility by establishing the police headquarters at the Homestead Sports Complex qualifies as an authorized exemption from Section 255.20 Florida statutes under subsection 1C of that statute. This action is consistent with the action taken by council at the October 29, 2012 special call meeting in order to facilitate the move from the old City Hall to the temporary City Hall site.
This action allows you to do what you need to do quicker.
Correct.
Okay. Any comments from council?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Vice Mayor.
I would just caution, make sure staff remembers that the $3 million number as you reach out to whoever your professional services people are that you're going to bring in, that you reiterate to them that, you know, there's not going to be a lot of overruns or any of that. So just
we
make
will,
sure you choose wisely.
Absolutely, and also one note is that the major contracts will come for you for a vote anyway, so you'll have another opportunity to express that as well, which I think is very important for the staff and the contracting community to hear.
Anything else from council? This is a public comment. This is a public hearing. Any public comment at this time? You're welcome to speak at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Maldonado and Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Woolman? Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 16.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting proposal and approving work authorization for work associated with professional services in the preparation of the construction contract documents for conversion of the Homestead Sports Complex to temporary police facility between City and Kimley Horn and Associates, providing for pursuant to continuing contract awarded under RFQ 2013-07, providing an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the proposal submitted by Kimley Horn and Associates for professional services in the preparation of the design, build, construction contract documents for the conversion of the Homestead Sports Complex to a temporary contract to a temporary police facility to include assistance in the securing of construction services and conceptual drawings. The proposal will render the necessary services on an as-needed basis at a cost not to exceed $50,000. And these are the people that we're going to remind, $3 million facility and not a dime more, minus your fee. So we're gonna get there.
Okay, no comments from Mr. Burgess. You just answered his question. Any other comments from any council? Seeing none, okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak? Hiring professional services to keep this project under $3 million. I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion? It's properly moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 17.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting proposal and approving work authorization for work associated with additional engineering architectural services for the new City Hall project between the city and Rodriguez Quiroga Architects pursuant to a continuing contract award under RFQ 2013-7, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the proposal submitted by Rodriguez and Quiroga Architects Chartered for engineering professional services for the new City Hall project. The proposal will render the necessary services for the new City Hall bidding phase at a cost not to exceed $68,250, and additional services as deemed necessary for permitting at a cost not to exceed $50,000. The bids are on the street. At some point, we expect the cutoff date, Jerry, is?
The bids will be back on May 6, 2014.
So at that point, we're going to need, through that whole process, we're going to need the architects to help us through that process, and that's what this is for.
Vice Mayor.
Are the bids already out, or what?
Yes, it was advertised on February 4th.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I didn't know about that. Great. Okay.
Anyone else, council?
I just have a question. Is this standard operating procedure for us to hire this entity to assist us with the bid process?
Julio?
Yes, this is standard. Basically what it is that you usually use the design architects or engineers to assist the city or the client in terms of reviewing the bids, doing all the work that needs to be done during the bid process, and also any permitting issues that may come up. So yes.
And then assuming you award a contract, once the bids come in, there's a recommendation, you award a contract, we'll need additional services both from the architect and potentially some sort of a contract construction manager to oversee the project and make sure that whatever is getting built is what we're paying for.
So we won't have, through the mayor, so we won't have staff a part of the selection process?
Yes, staff will be a part of the selection process. In fact, the recommendation will come to you from me, but there's a whole lot of process beforehand, including advice from the architects, a selection committee, and then of staff, and then a recommendation from me, and then ultimately your decision.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. Any comments, questions, for or against? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 18.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to obtain services of real estate appraisers, engineers, environmental, public education, and other consultants in connection with the permanent relocation of the police facilities to the downtown CRA lots and/or the renovation of the Seminole Theater, providing an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this item, what this item does is it gives the staff a cap of $250,000, although our plan is not to get close to that, to hire a variety of consultants to start looking at the questions that you had during the COW last week. So, for example, on the Seminole Theater, we know there's a wish list that potentially could exceed $6.5 million. So we want to try to work with the Seminole Theater people and our professional services team to start ratcheting that down so that we can get a real solid comfort level that we're at the $5 million and not a penny more. And we'd like to start that process now so that there's no surprises and that people understand as we start doing this. My biggest concern here is if we do nothing till after the election and we find out, oh, you can't have the high-end sound system, that people are going to be disappointed. And we really want to get some of the costs down, and we want everybody to be a part of the process, including the mayor and council, so that there's no surprises after the election. And the same thing with the CRA lots, for you to consider that as one option. We really need to look at that site, see and understand the implications of that site, both the consolidation, the parcels that would need to be acquired, and the other contamination or environmental issues that would be there, and then also the educational component. And so this is kind of a catch-all to say we need to start preparing for the informational process, and that's what this is.
Okay, so voting for this does not commit anyone to saying CRA lots is where the police department is going.
Correct, and it also doesn't commit to, once we come up with our recommendation of what we need to do to get to the $5 million, you're also going to have a discussion about that. And we're also, before we launch the campaign or the informational process, we're going to have conversations with each of you as well so that everybody understands how we're progressing over the next few months.
I know in the discussion there was some questions as to vacation. We need to do some acquisition or some takings possibly, and then that also takes into consideration any remediation of any contaminants, correct?
Correct, and
You're
we
trying to
also
find all that out.
Right, we also felt that on the CRA lots, even if the decision is not to go with that as a site, we feel there is some value looking at that consolidation of site because it makes for a much more interesting site. Assuming it's not for a police station, what else could we do once you think about it as much larger piece? And also, we'd like the opportunity to start talking to some of the property owners because for a police station, we certainly have the option of eminent domain, but we also don't really want to say that until we have some discussion because there may be very well sellers interested in selling their property, and we just need a little flexibility to start the dialogue.
Understood. Thank you. Council, questions, comments? Anyone? Okay, so public hearing. Anyone would like to speak on this issue? You're welcome to the microphone. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 19.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting proposal and accepting work authorization for work associated with professional services for Phase 1 and 2 environmental site assessment of CRA-owned properties and properties adjacent to CRA-owned properties between the City and Kimley Horn Associates pursuant to continuing contract award under RFQ 2013-07, providing for an effective date.
Mayor, this is the environmental services, the site assessment we had talked about. It's also a good example of just because you set a cap of 250 on the other item, we still, if the contracts exceed a certain amount, we still have to come to you for approval, and so this would be an example of that.
Council questions? None? This public hearing, any questions, any concerns, comments? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Tab 19.
Move it.
Second, moved and seconded. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 20.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, supporting the Park to Park Trail Greenway from Biscayne National Park to Everglades National Park, also known as Biscayne Everglades Greenway, providing for implementation and effective date.
Mr. Manager, just explain it to the public before they jump the gun on me here.
Sure. Councilwoman Judy Waldman requests Mayor and Council accept and approve the attached resolution supporting the Park-to-Park Trail Greenway from Biscayne National Park to Everglades National Park, also known as the Biscayne Everglades Greenway Park. The City Council has previously authorized the city to apply to the South Florida Water Management District for a permit to enable the city to design and install a bike trail as one of the many coordinated components of the Park-to-Park Trail, which will connect the two national parks and has committed the city to accomplishing the bike trail component.
Thank you. Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Vice Mayor?
No, I think this is great. I support this, the Biscayne Everglades Greenway. I think it's a great project. I think it ties into a lot of the things that we've done here in the city over the last year. And so I commend Councilwoman Waldman for her leadership and her efforts in moving this project forward, and hopefully we'll get this completed in the near future. The only thing I would also, maybe in one of the whereas clauses, it doesn't mention that we're the gateway to Everglades and Biscayne National Park. Just maybe add that into somewhere. I think would be good.
Okay, no problem.
Perfect. And thank you again, Councilman Waldman, for this.
Absolutely.
Same thing, just kudos to you. I know this is a project that you've been working on, like you say, your baby for many, many years, and having friends and others that I've spoken to within the communities throughout Miami, they've actually heard about this or talking about this. They actually asked me about it, and I said, well, I know the councilwoman who's been working on it. So the community and the biking community, those who like the outdoors, are hearing about this. The word is getting out, and I think it's going to do what we wanted to do, which is bring the folks from Miami to experience the beauty of Homestead and the two state parks that surround us. So a thumbs up to you.
Yeah. We were all up in Washington lobbying for this many years ago. And so commend you, Councilwoman Waldman, on the tremendous effort. I tell you, when you bite a hold of something, you don't let go. And so, I know I will always want you on my side in the battle.
You can't talk. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Actually, I was going to ask Pedro to talk because I think this would be the appropriate time to talk about the bike festival, just to give you some information and dates. Gosh, what a night to lose your voice. You know, I'm so thrilled and excited about this, but Pedro, if you just talk about just a few seconds so people who's watching this will be able to take a note, and the festival's going to be fabulous. And I want you all to help with it.
Good evening. Basically, right now at the moment, we've been planning the Biscayne Everglades Greenway Bike Festival to take place on April 26, 2014 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Right now, what we're planning on is having an 11-mile flat tire bike ride, which means, you know, it's going to be a dirt path, basically leaving from the racetrack. It's going to head over to Biscayne National Park and Homestead Bayfront Park, and it's going to come back around along the Greenway Trail, which is unpaved at the moment, and it'll go down to 137th Ave and come back to the track. Once the ride is over, we're going to have the family-friendly event. We'll have different bicycle advocacy groups, different vendors. We'll probably have a band and some food. So we'll have more details probably at the next meeting. We'll have a flyer already designed and everything. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you. Madam Clerk, did I open up the public hearing yet, or did?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. I will open up the public hearing at this time. Close the public hearing. Any final comments from council?
Yes, I think, did you want to make an amendment to this, adding the gateway language?
Yeah, I mean, do I need to formally do a motion
Yes.
to add the amendment?
Yes.
Then, yeah, I'll make a motion to add amendment to somewhere in the whereas clause, add that we are the gateway to Everglades and Biscayne National Park, or recently designated. as the gateway.
Motion made and
I'll second
seconded.
it.
Motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the amendment's been made, public hearing's closed, and we're going to vote on the final. Was there a motion on the final as amended?
No, sir.
I'll move it.
Moved. Is there a
I'll second
second?
it.
Second.
Motion as amended. All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 21.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the purchase of 113 Panasonic Toughbook laptops for the Police Department from the CDWG 100 Computer Corporation, various exercise equipment for the Police Department from the Pro Maximum Manufacturing Ltd., one network server for this department for the Dell Computer Corporation, one tape backup for this department from Dell Computer Corporation, 48 backup tapes for its department from CWG pursuant to City Code 2-411.185 exemption from competitive bidding, authorizing the purchase of one Mitsubishi single-reach lift truck for the General Services Procurement and Contracts Department pursuant to the city's standard competitive bidding process, providing for financing for purchases pursuant to existing SunTrust master lease, providing for implementation and effective date.
Mr. Manager, staff report.
Mayor, I think he included it all in there. And,
Well, I was going to ask the attorney to explain to me what we're buying.
A whole bunch of stuff for the police department.
That's what I heard you say.
I've also made a note to either my office or the police department that these titles do not need to be this long.
Okay, so Mr. Manager, you got computers.
It's actually, police and Jerry, you want to go?
Through the manager, Mr. Porter, we're buying workstations citywide. We usually replace them on a 5-year life cycle. Unfortunately, because of budget constraints, it's been over 7 years. A lot of the computers were having issues with replacement parts. So this will replace all the workstations for all the city users over probably a half a year period. In addition to that, we're replacing one of our servers as well as one of our backup devices. Once again, they've reached their end of their life cycles, so we're having issues with replacement parts. The rest of the items belong to the police department.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I didn't see any Macs in here at all.
That would come separately, Mr. Willens.
Oh, okay. Because I looked, I saw only Dell.
Also, Councilman, IT people don't like Macs because they don't break.
Because I've been asking for one.
Any other questions from council?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Fairclough.
With the purchasing of the 106 police laptops, that's going to cause a surplus of laptops. Is that correct?
I'll defer that to the police department.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the old laptops go, they have reached the end of their lives pretty much the same as the systems that the...
We can't hear you. I'm sorry. You got to get a little closer.
A little closer.
All right. Thank you.
They've pretty much reached the end of their life, the same as the workstations for the city have. I mean, they're... we would be hard-pressed to get anything from them if we were to resell them. Let's put it that way. We're going to try to get credit from Panasonic for them if we can. If not, they'll go to regular surplus through the purchasing department.
So my follow-up question. So they're not offerable anymore?
They are still under warranty until, I believe it's April. So they have reached the end of 5 years under warranty. At that point, if anything was to fail on them, then we'd have to fund that out of our budget in order to replace it. The new ones will have accidental breakage coverage on them already, the same as we currently have.
And I asked that because when I was in a classroom at Air Base Elementary, when the Homestead Air Reserve Base, when they purchased new computer workstations for the base, they donated all of the surplus equipment to Air Base Elementary, to the schools. So if we can't use them for the city and we get them for pennies from Panasonic, I think it would be very valuable for children in our community who probably don't have any access to technology or computers at home. So that's something we may want to consider if possible.
I mean,
are they the ruggedized?
Yes, they are.
If I can, through the manager, just remind council that we have a surplus donation policy. If you recall, about almost 2 years ago, I guess some issues came up as part of the process of donating surplus items to non-for-profits or other organizations. So a policy was put in place that if we try to sell the items through surplus and they do not sell, and they're still available, we would notify all non-for-profits in the communities. They would all apply individually saying why I need these items, how it would help out the community and its citizens, and then a committee would look at these applications and then move forward with donating all of it or some of the items to those particular entities.
Yeah, Mayor. Yeah, I remember that because it was me that donated some computers from the city to a Haitian organization, and I guess I did something that was crucified. So we had to do this policy. Somebody didn't like it up there. We had to do the policy so by which we had this process now. And but the intent, what I initially did it was for organizations, nonprofits, those they can take advantage of. And now we have this bureaucracy of a committee that has to go. So, but we can always amend it, right?
Yeah, sure can.
We are policy.
Okay.
We are policy.
And if I can, the part of that was to give you all an opportunity to think through who you wanted to donate the stuff to, and some of the organizations were, why not me? And so it put things on a level playing field for people to consider how you want to donate the surplus property.
Ms. Faircloth,
Yes, I just wanted to, I remember that policy distinctly, and I wasn't attempting to circumvent that process. I just wanted you to keep that on the radar, to go through that process, and in the event that we don't sell them to other entities that we consider nonprofits that particularly work with kids, or PTAs, because PTAs are nonprofits. So let's just be mindful of that.
Will do.
Anything, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, sorry, just to echo on that same sentiment, or to keep the discussion going. I haven't seen that policy in a while, but my understanding was that there was a way of pulling it before it actually went out to bid for the first time, or went out for auction the first time. Is that not correct? So it wasn't only that which could not be sold. It came to us first, and we were able to pull stuff off if we chose to under the process or procedure, and then the remaining went out to under the normal surplus policy, and if that didn't sell, then we had a kind of a second bite at the apple. Is that correct?
You're correct. That clause is in there. The council could pull it off at that time. We would still have to go through the process, though, of notifying all the non-for-profits.
Correct. But I just want to make sure that we didn't necessarily have to wait in this case for it not to be sold. If it was important enough, then through the process you could pull it once it becomes available. Once the new computers are purchased and everything's transferred out, and you could notify us at the council level that these particular computers are now getting ready to go to surplus, and then we can follow the process that's in place to take whatever action is necessary, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So tab 21, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to comment on the purchase of these computers? I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council?
Yeah, just how many years of financing again? I think, was it 5 years, Carlos, or about $5 million? How much does this cost? About
This is over 5 years.
5 years. At what cost again, total? I think it was...
The interest rate is 1.765%.
At what cost? What's the cost again?
The total cost?
$960.
About $1 million.
Well, the cost of the equipment is $960,000 is what we're financing.
Right, okay, but $46,000 would be an interest.
Yeah, you'll be paying a little over $1 million. Okay,
all right.
Anything else, Mr. Williams?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion? Move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 22.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the purchase of hardware, software, and services for the Homestead Police Department from Software House International, Inc., pursuant to City Code Section 2411.185, exemption from competitive bidding, providing an effective date.
Mr. Manager, quickly.
Mayor, it's staff recommendation, Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution to authorize the city manager to purchase hardware, software, and services from Southern Computer Warehouse. The purchase is made in accordance with the State of Florida Contract Number 252-001-09-1 and is funded from impact fees. The total initial license cost is $36,994.30, which includes software assurance, update maintenance for 28 months due to the state contract expiring. At the end of that period, additional software assurance will need to be purchased under the new state contract for an additional 28 months. That cost will be approximately 50%, about $18,498 of the initial license cost. The total cost for 56 months is expected to be approximately $55,492.
Questions from council? No questions? This is a public hearing. Any questions from the public with regards to purchasing software? I'll close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 23.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, declaring certain personal property owned by the City of Homestead to be surplus property and authorizing the city manager to provide for the sale or disposition of such property in accordance with Section 2440 of the City Code.
Mr. Manager.
Speaking of surplus property, staff's recommendation, the mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to surplus the attached list of vehicles and miscellaneous items that will be sold through means of an online auction or disposed of by other authorized procedures. This is in accordance with the City of Homestead Code, Section 2-440, surplus property.
Yeah, I'd like to pull off the 2012 Ford 250.
I thought you would want the big,
I want a truck now. Yeah, I saw the H2 up there.
H2, the Hummer.
Yeah, too big for me, too much gas.
That's right.
Any other questions from council?
Now, these vehicles, I saw some of the years. Where are these vehicles from? I mean, the city's not purchased a Hummer. I mean, these from...
Quite a few of the vehicles are coming from the police department. Some were confiscated, so we might not even have the keys for them. That's why sometimes you see that there's actually no mileage. We can't turn on the vehicle, so we can't see the digital display on them.
What you mean? You can't get a lock? You can't... That's easy,
We
man.
could spend money to make keys, but we'd rather not.
Oh, gotcha. You just rather sell the vehicle and let the owner do that. I got you.
Anything else from anyone? This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak on surplus materials? Sale of?
I'd like to take off the golf clubs.
Can you use them? There's only 19.
It was either that or the bullhorn, I thought.
Take off the bullhorn. You need the bullhorn. Okay, no comments from the public? No final comments from council? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second? Okay, moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 24.
Wayfinding signs discussion.
That's the
Mr.
shortest
Mayor.
one all night. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This item I asked to be put on here for discussion. I had a conversation with Julio, I guess about a year ago, a little over a year ago, regarding trying to have signage on our major thoroughfares, whether it be US 1, H Street, right off the turnpike, so that people knew where to get to within our community. And so I'd ask him to look into, for signs for the Chamber of Commerce, the historic downtown, Main Street, all of those types of places where if you're a tourist or you're a traveler through our city limits, you might want to go to if you knew it existed. And he informed me that there was actually signs that had already been created, had already been printed, were sitting in a warehouse and had been stored for quite some period of time that accomplished just that goal. And so I asked him to put it on the agenda tonight so that we could look at it to see, did we want to go ahead and have staff proceed with those signs, put them up around town and start getting the message out, what we have to offer within our city limits? Do we not like those signs? Do we want to scrap them and go back to the drawing board, or were we not interested in doing any type of directional signs at all within our city? And so I'd asked that to be put on, and Julio can describe them a little bit better as far as the type of signs.
Question, Vice Mayor.
Sign here.
Okay.
Why was it not instituted? What?
Good question. Julio will explain all that,
Oh, okay,
including how
sorry.
long have they been in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And Julio, maybe you could start with why have the signs been sitting there? How long have they been sitting there? And
No, you can't see it from here. You have to pull it out to the front.
No. Oh, no, you can't put that up in my district.
So what happened, Julio? Why haven't they been, how long have they been sitting in the warehouse?
These signs, I believe, were purchased by the CRA department, I would imagine. I think it was like 6 years ago or so, or maybe even longer than that. And some of them were put up, but at the time, the administration only wanted to put up information signs, not wayfinding signs. So the wayfinding signs were basically put aside. But it was done through a grant. Again, it was two previous administrations at the CRA from now. So that's how far back it was when this were done. And we found them in the warehouse. We actually had them stored at the sports complex, and we moved them to our facility so that we wouldn't lose them. And they're available. So I mean, if we want to put them up, we could.
And they are directional signs. They will actually get from one point A, and they'll point you in a certain direction to say you want to go to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters, and it points you that way when you get off the turnpike.
Correct. It was a combination of signs. Some were informational signs. Others were wayfinding signs that actually have arrows going into different, pointing for different points of interest. Yes.
Right. Any questions from council?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just, they're already made, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're already made, yes.
No changes and stuff.
Nothing, no.
Just have to live with it.
They're stored, and they're basically all just stacked up in a warehouse.
How long will they take to put up?
Well, we have to the first thing now is to look through the inventory and see which signs we want to put up first, and we'll start with the downtown area, work that way first, and then work our way out of that. There's also signs pointing to different points of interest, like Bayfront Park and those type of things.
Yeah,
so
I think that's important.
There's signs that they were done a while back, I think, through a grant that the CRA was able to get many years ago.
Yeah, I think it's important we have those. I mean, everybody doesn't know about the city of Homestead, and if we can help businesses or parks or however, yeah, we need to do that. I think that's.
No one's opposed at this point. No opposition,
No.
Mr. Manager. No opposition.
Nope.
Okay. Any final comments? That discussion's over. That was easy. Okay, business from the city manager?
Mayor, first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you and the rest of the council for the thoughtfulness over this whole discussion of the police station and the Seminole Theater and the downtown, particularly for the employees who are really existing in a contaminated building. I think I can speak for all of them in saying that they appreciate your efforts in looking out for their well-being. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the staff at this time over the last few weeks in particular to try to meet some of these deadlines. Have been working tremendously just to get this stuff done. It's all very complicated stuff, and it's been very deadline-driven stuff. And they've really done a great job as a team. We have a lot of work ahead of ourselves here, and there's a lot of room for error, so we're going to have to really keep our eye on the ball. We hope you'll all understand as some of the other smaller projects that may be on the agenda may get delayed a little bit as we keep through this from now, certainly till the May 13th deadline, and then beyond that as well. But thank you all, and to the staff, thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Attorney? No report. Business from the mayor and council, Ms. Fairclough.
Yes. I'd like to start off by thanking our residents for your feedback as it relates to the general obligation bond. Your feedback is going to be very critical as we embark upon this education slash informational session to highlight different aspects of this GOB. So thank you for your comments. I would also like to invite our community to come out and support the Chamber of Commerce Chili Cook-Off this Saturday from 11 to 5 p.m. I look forward to seeing all of you there. This past week, the State Board of Education recognized 6 high-performing principals. 5 of those 6 principals came from Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and I'm proud that one of those principals emerged from the city of Homestead. The principal, Mr. Guillermo Munoz, of Homestead Senior High, is one of the top principals in the state of Florida. He's new to Homestead Senior High this year, so we can expect great things to come from Homestead Senior High under the leadership of Mr. Guillermo Munoz. I'd also like to thank my colleagues for supporting the Mayor's Youth Council. We will be traveling to Washington, D.C. in March, so I thank all of you for your financial support to help defray the costs for that trip. I would also like to thank Councilman Maldonado for your leadership with the Education Committee. I know that's a tough committee, and I take that committee hesitantly. Although I have degrees and certificated in the area of education, it doesn't make this task easier, and it's a mission, and I gladly, hesitantly accept the baton from you, and feel free if you want to come back and support.
You can definitely count me in. Like I said, if you can't show up to any meetings, anything that's happening within the community, I'll be more than happy to continue to support. I'm not going anywhere, and obviously, you know, the love of this, my love for this community and understanding the importance of education, you know, you just count me in. And I was there 4 years ago when I hesitantly took it, but I took it knowing the importance of it. So thank you for doing the same.
Yeah, I genuinely thank you for that. And finally, I'd like to wish the best of luck to our 4th, 8th, and 10th graders as we kick off FCAT season next week. They start with the FCAT rights on Tuesday. So let's collectively wish all of our boys and girls in the city of Homestead the best of luck and pray that they make us proud. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Woolman?
I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass? Okay. Mr. Maldonado.
Green light. Okay. A few announcements. This Saturday, the SOS Heart and Soul 5K run and walk is happening. This at 6 a.m. They are starting, and it's $25 per person, or $15 under 18. And so we ask that if you need information, either go to our website or to the SOS's website. You may have more information on that. Also, this Saturday, the VFW 4127 golf tournament is being held at the Keys Gate Golf Course. Registration is at 10:30 a.m. and it's $100 per individual. This golf tournament is benefiting the EOD Warrior Foundation. Again, this is at the Keys Gate Golf Course this Saturday. Also, March 12th, as Terry was here, the chair of Relay for Life of Homestead. March 12th, Relay for Life of Homestead, Give Back Night at Chili's. Also, team and committees will be meeting there as well. Again, that's March 12th. Please join us and ask this council if you don't want to cook or come on over. Also, I have a newsletter that I've started in December, and it was going out monthly, and I'm now changing it to bi-monthly, and I've gotten a really good response from the community. So thank you for those who reached out to me after sending those newsletter out. It does a lot of good for our community. So they will continue to go out on a quarterly as opposed to monthly. Also, something that I'm doing in my community, it's a bi-monthly community meeting at Waterstone 1, Waterstone 2, and Malibu Bay clubhouses. Opportunity for the community to voice any concerns or to give accolades for things that are being done well. Notice of meetings, place, date, and time will be given in advance. This is a bi-monthly meeting that I started over in my community the beginning of this year. There's also, and I'll ask the PIO officer our public information officer to put this up. There's 2 scholarships that I came across. One is from Cole's sponsorship. It says nominating a young volunteer for up to $10,000 in scholarships, and then the Cole's Cares Scholarship Program. And it says nominate a young volunteer aged 6 to 18 who has made a difference in your community. Nominations must be submitted online by 11:59 p.m. Central Time on March 14, 2014. The information is here how to nominate. And definitely, I know that we have a lot of communities, Patricia, I think this is lines up in your area, as well as the Police Explorers and the many kids, and Judy, you as well. We have all had volunteers in this age group that have helped us out. And I think it'd be great if they've had an opportunity to get a scholarship. So I'll pass that along. And then just one other item, the spring break. This is Museum of Contemporary Art and South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center is presenting a spring break boredom buster. Again, we'll put this information up, but it's basically a spring break event that's happening from March 24th through March 28th, and the information will be on there. It's a really good event. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you so very much, Mayor. Let me thank my esteemed colleagues and the community and city staff, and especially our city manager. I suffer from a interesting disease called sickle cell disease, and it affects my health from time to time. And so since December, I've been very ill, but I'm here tonight. And I want to thank you for you all prayers and support, and because it's a very trying disease as I live with it every day. But I could not do the job that I do without the support of you all and your prayers. And so, Judy, thank you so much for the cookies. I'm still waiting. And those of you who reached out, Councilwoman Faircloth and Elvis and the mayor and Councilman Chile and George and Richard, thank you for your phone calls. They did not go unnoticed, and so I'm very appreciative for your kindness. So that's all I have, because I have not been doing anything there. But I do want to give a shout out to Travius Smith, who really has helped me out tremendously with the Southwest Advisory Board and the Martin Luther King breakfast. I could not make it, of course, and so I want to thank him personally for what he has done to be a very backbone to me. So thank you so very much.
We're very glad to have you back. Looking better and seeing that spry back in you again. So we're very glad to have you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick items. The first is one of the assignments that was given to me at the first of this year was the Charter Review Chair, and my intention was to start that charter review process up as quickly as possible so that we could run through the paces, have as much public input and council input in this community as we could before we made it on ballot. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, we have endeavored into a bunch of very large projects which are going to be great for our community, but also very taxing on our staff. And so after consulting with city staff and the city attorney, I don't believe it's going to be possible for this particular cycle, this particular spring, to put together a properly run charter review at this time. So unless there's any other responses from you, my colleagues, then at this point there will not be a charter review during this time frame. It just won't be possible to carry out a proper one with all the public input and things that need to be taken on. So,
Mr. Morrow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And Vice Mayor Shelley, actually, it's one of those items that I needed to cover as well. The two committees that I've also been assigned that have committee members are the CRB, the Community Relations Board, and well, that's really the main one that I need to work on. I'm asking for applications from the community to be sent in so that we could get this board up and running again. I know Patricia Faircloth had it, and I did a great job, and so, you know, just kind of starting all over. So I'm asking for the community to please either come by and pick up applications and submit your applications as soon as possible, and we're going to get this the CRB board up and running again.
Okay. Mr. Williams, did you have a comment?
Just interested in knowing, even though we're not doing charter review, but what was your idea about it? You know, what was going to change the charter?
Well, no, it was just the scheduled charter review that we had, and so it's already passed, 2 years past due for whatever reason. We haven't done it.
Every time I've been up here, we've been doing charter.
Yeah, so I was going to try to run, just have a typical charter review and make sure that there was plenty of public input, that there was plenty of public involvement. So there was no specific agenda items as far as what we were going to look at.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And then I have a couple other items. One is that the Mardi Gras parade, which is upcoming, I know that some of us would want to participate. I inquired about the use of the Centennial float for the mayor and council as a whole, so rather than having us in individual cars, we could ride the float together and participate as a group. And so I was told I needed to bring that up today under my business, I guess, just to make sure that that's okay for staff purposes. So if no one complains, then we'll use it, and I hope to see all you guys on the float. It'll be a fun time for all of us to participate together. Also, also, we have still going on Poetry in the Park in Losner Park through the end of March. Where there was a presentation, I think, the last council meeting from the Artist in Residence program from the Everglades. They are changing out those poems. So any of you that have actually been to the park and read the poems that were there should be new poems this month, so you can keep it fresh and keep going out there to see what's going on. And lastly, Councilman Burgess asked me to remind everybody again about This Is the Dog, the Putt for Paws golf tournament. For more information about the tournament, you can contact 305-508-PETS, P-E-T-S, or you can also go to the website, www.thisisthedog.com. The golf tournament is Saturday, May 3rd, 2014. So passing that on for Councilman Burgess. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd just like to start out by saying, you know, what an honor it is to sit up here with a group of council members that have taken the bull by the horns and chosen to ask tough questions and do tough things and really move this city forward. I'm honored to sit up here with you because we have done as a group more in a short amount of time than I could say has been done in 20 years. So you all to be commended. George, you and your staff for keeping us focused and giving us the cold hard facts. But I want to say from the policy side of the table, you guys are phenomenal. Because this can's been kicked around a long time. So kudos to all of you for doing the right thing. As you can see on the agenda, we've posted some vacancies. It's my understanding that the policy was every time there's an election, at least for the mayor, all the committees recharge. Any committee that is yours is yours. We're just posting it to get the information out, to get interested parties to come forward. So hopefully we'll receive some additional quality participants that would want to help us, and if not, we'll still use the ones that have been doing a great job for us. So that's just it's just part of what I think we need to do. So I really don't have any other things to say. Yes,
just a technical question on it. Do you want the board that you allow me to continue to have oversight over, basically would be the same people. Do they need to resubmit applications, or do I just need to give their? I mean, they already have them on file.
Right. That's what I'm saying. For those of you that already have established committees, unless someone approaches you, I mean, you.
Yeah, I have one right. That needs to be appointed, but other than that, but I mean, they're basically all. I mean, all of them on file.
Right.
The same people.
Right, and there's other committees that aren't as rock solid.
Right, actually.
So in those cases where we don't have a rock solid committee, or we have a lot of vacancies, somewhat like the CRA advisory board, we've got a lot of vacancies there. So hopefully we can encourage people to contact the clerk and show some interest in serving on those boards, but not to necessarily replace people at this point.
Okay, and so another question: the planning and zoning. Some of these boards require that we have an appointment, like the Art in Public Places that we. Which boards require that? Do we?
I'm sorry.
And this may be to the clerk. The boards. Some of these boards require that each council person recommend a name, which beyond the Art in Public Places. Is there any other board that requires each council person to submit a name other than Art in Public Places?
I think that CRA.
I don't think we have.
CRA grant
not for profit.
But they're not on here, though. Is it on here? It's not on here, though.
Not on there.
Okay. But those are the only two, right?
That's something I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure.
So, Rick, the CRA component of the not-for-profit would come up under your business?
It would come to the board at a CRA meeting.
As a CRA. So that, you know, each council member should be thinking about who they want to put on that board as well, so that we can move that at the next meeting.
I have the email that I sent you, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. I have heard back from a few, but not everyone. So when you do have a name, just please email it to me with a resume if they're not on the board currently, and we'll bring it to the full board.
Okay, great. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just time frame wise on the committee appointments, is there a specific time frame that anybody that's interested in applying needs to have their application, letter, resume, whatever happens to be submitted by, or?
Madam Clerk, do you have a standard?
We announced it for 30 days.
30 days?
30 days.
Okay.
So it'll be the appointments could be made at the next council meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Everybody okay with that? 30 days. So the public has 30 days to get their information to the clerk, and and this will be publicized tomorrow, I think, Madam Clerk?
Yes, it will be on the website.
On the
tomorrow.
website. So hopefully we'll encourage some participation. And look, I just want to tell you guys thanks again. Great job. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Okay, motion carries. Have a good evening, everyone.